What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, I will be explaining why Victor Wembanyama is the most overrated player I have seen in my lifetime. So let's get into it. Number one, Victor Wembanyama is so overrated because people are calling this man the next Dirk Nowitzki when it comes to shooting, when he's not even shooting over 30% in France. He's only shooting about 28.6% from the three. When and in the NBA, the 3 point line is going to be further back than in France. So I think he can work on his 3 point jump shot and he can become a very good 3 point shooter. But right now, he is not a great 3 point shooter. He is an average, a decent 3 point shooter. We saw it in summer league. He wasn't really making 3 pointers all that much. I think he can still be a very powerful mid range and post player. I just don't think he is as great as a 3 point shooter as everybody else thinks he is. Number two, people are calling this man the greatest player, the greatest prospect we've ever seen in team sports, which I think is a stretch. And I think at the end of his career, which might be a bit of a hot take, people are going to call him a bust. I don't think he will be a bust, but I think people are going to call him a bust just because of the fact that he's not going to live up to those expectations. It's very difficult to live up to those expectations because those are very high expectations. We haven't seen a lot of guys be able to live up to those expectations. Kwame Brown, for example, he wasn't able to live up to the expectations he had. I'm not saying he's going to be like Kwame Brown. I just don't think he's going to be as good as people think he is going to be. I think he's going to be great. I think he's definitely going to be a top 75, top 75. I think he'll definitely be like a top 30, top player of all time because I think he'll be great. I just think that he's not going to be a top 10, a top 5, the greatest player of all time. I think he has the potential, but I just don't think he's going to be that good. But what I do think about Victor is that he needs to keep his weight down. Now I guess I don't know anything about this. I'm a random guy. But if he's able to keep his weight down, he can keep the mobility, which we've seen can help players a lot. Now it'd be cool to see a 7'5" version of Kenny Lofton, but that's not what he needs to be. He needs to be able to stay mobile. And even though the injury concerns are being a problem, the amount of training that his trainers are putting in for him and making him do, he had private trainers over in France on his team just specifically for him to get ready for the NBA. They had trainers, they signed like guards who played in the NBA to help him, which is why I think he's going to be a really good player. I just still think that he is the most overrated player in the NBA right now. And he hasn't even played a game. There are a lot of overrated players in the NBA. That's not what we're getting into right now. But I do think he is not even slightly or a tad bit overrated. He is very, very overrated because calling him the greatest player we've ever seen, not only in the NBA, but team sport history is insane. The amount of greats we've seen, from Tom Brady to Serena Williams to Mike Tyson to Muhammad Ali to LeBron James to Michael Jordan and to Tiger Woods to Phil Nicholson. I think it's just crazy to me that people think he's going to be the greatest player in team sport history. I just think that's a bit of a stretch. Greatest prospect, greatest player, it's just a stretch. I think there are much better players than him. I think there were much better prospects than him. I just think he was really overhyped. I think he was overhyped a little bit. I believe some of the hype. Like, I think Victor. And don't get me wrong. I think Victor's going to be a very good player. I just think that there is like way too much hype around him. He's not going to exceed it. expectations. He's going to fail expectations just because the expectations are set way too high. So people at the end of his career are going to call him a bust. He is not going to be a bust, but people are going to call him a bust just because of the fact that they just made these lofty expectations for him. An example of that is Andrew Wiggins. He was the number one overall pick. So now he has to be, a top 10 player in the NBA. He never was that. But with the Warriors, he's become a solid and a great role player for the Warriors, yet he's still considered a bust just because he's not the number one guy on the team. And just because you're not the number one guy on your team doesn't mean that you're a bust. So I don't think Victor Wembanyama, by all means, I don't think Victor Wembanyama will be a bust. I just don't think that Victor Wembanyama will be as good as people think he will be. And also, he's a great rim defender and rim protector. But if we want him to be playing power forward and not center, which I think could possibly happen, we're going to have to see him play perimeter defense, which he didn't have to do as much in France. We didn't really see him play on the perimeter. He can play great perimeter, but can he keep up with the guys in the NBA? Uh, I think he will be. I think the one thing though about Victor is that he will be physical enough because we've seen all the European players say that that European basketball is more physical than the NBA right now, and that is a fact. It is, and it is completely the NBA Adam Silver's fault. Well, not Adam Silver specifically, but Adam Silver, David Stern, everybody's fault that the NBA is now a soft league and that the European leagues, quite simply, like when they play in the Olympics, is way more physical than the NBA. It used to be the opposite. The NBA just reigned supreme on the physicality, but now it's not. The Europe is the more physical league, and I think that will help Victor just because he will know how to play physical. I think that's a really major thing for Victor that will really help him out. He's just going to be able to handle the NBA in terms of physicality because he might be one of the more physical players in the league just because he played in the league that was more physical in Europe. So that's why I think Victor Wembanyama is the most overrated player in the league. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Peace.